Welcome back to Coin Hunt Daily, where everyday pocket change could be hiding a life-changing treasure. Today's journey will take you through the top 4 most valuable Washington quarters ever discovered. Coins so rare, their values have soared into the hundreds of thousands. One small detail, one tiny error could mean the difference between 25 cents and $450,000 or more. So grab your coin jar, pull out those old quarter rolls, and stay with me till the end. Because the last coin on this list, it's so outrageous it might just be sitting in your house right now. Make sure to subscribe and join our growing community of collectors uncovering lost treasures every day. First up, the 1981 D Washington quarter. At first glance, it looks just like the millions of others minted that year. Denver struck over 500 million of them. That's right, 500 million. So why then would anyone care about a worn-down, circulated coin from 1981? Well, buckle up. Because among those everyday quarters, a tiny number were struck with such extreme precision, or wild, freakish error, that they've gone from pocket change to pocket gold mines. The regular 1981 D quarter was made of copper nickel-clad, not silver, and circulated heavily across the country. Most are worth, well, 25 cents. But if you look closely, really closely, you might start to see why some collectors are now offering upwards of $2,000 for certain circulated examples, and over $85,000 for specific rarities in pristine condition. And here's where it gets wild. Some 1981 D quarters were struck on the wrong planchet, meaning the coin blank came from a totally different denomination. A few were mistakenly stamped on Susan B. Anthony dollar planchets or even foreign coin blanks. These oddballs not only break the mold, they shatter auction records. One error quarter struck on a 10-cent planchet sold for more than $14,000, and that was in used condition. Collectors are now scouring eBay, estate sales, and old jars for anything that looks even slightly off. Look for missing ridges, off-center strikes, or a lighter weight than normal. Even a subtle doubling in the lettering, what we call a DDR or doubled die reverse, could multiply the coin's value tenfold. But that's not the only kicker. The Denver Mint in 1981 was transitioning between different die varieties. Some of the dies were overused, producing weaker strikes, while others were sharply detailed. That variance is what turns a plain old coin into a high-demand collectible. If your 1981 D quarter has full details in Washington's hair and a strong eagle on the reverse, and it hasn't been cleaned or damaged, it might already be worth more than most people think. One circulated 1981 D quarter with full details and a rare misalignment error recently sold for $23,500 at auction. Yes, for a coin that likely passed through gas stations and soda machines for decades. And the demand? It's only growing. As boomers downsize their collections and Gen X and older millennials start investing in rare coins, these overlooked gems are catching fire. So how can you tell if your 1981 D quarter is one of the lucky ones? First, check the weight. A normal copper-nickel quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. Anything off, lighter or heavier, could be a sign of a rare planchet. Second, inspect the mint mark. Is the D sharp and clearly punched? Is there doubling in the motto, "In God We Trust," or in Washington's eye? Any tiny anomaly could be your golden ticket. And finally, condition matters, but rarity rules. Even worn-down circulated coins can fetch 4 or 5 figures if they have the right error or come from a unique die pairing. So don't toss out that old, crusty 1981 D quarter just yet. You could be holding a piece of U.S. minting history worth more than a brand new truck. And guess what? That's just the beginning. Next up, we're going even deeper. The next Washington quarter on our list has a story that will leave you speechless. But before we jump in, if you're enjoying this hunt and learning something new, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a discovery. Let's uncover the next hidden gem. Next up, the 1966 Washington quarter. Now hold on. Before you shake your head at its rough, pitted surface and toss it back in the junk pile, look again, Because this one's not just old, it's a ticking time bomb of value, and collectors are starting to realize it. 1966 was a strange year for U.S. coinage. Silver had just been removed from quarters a year earlier, and the mint was still adjusting to the new clad composition. That transition? It left behind some weird results, some of them now worth tens of thousands of dollars. Over 821 million Washington quarters were minted in 1966. Most are common and worn, like this one. But here's where things get jaw-dropping. Because during that chaotic minting year, several quarters were struck on leftover silver planchets. Yes, real silver blanks accidentally used in a year when silver was supposed to be gone. And that mistake? Today it's worth over $95,000. Think about that. A beat-up old quarter, tossed in a junk drawer for 50 years, potentially worth more than a brand new luxury car. And what's crazier, it might even look like junk. Some of the highest-priced silver error quarters from 1966 were found in very poor, even pitted condition, because no one thought to check. They spent decades in circulation, totally unrecognized, until someone finally weighed them. Now here's the trick. The standard 1966 clad quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. But if you find one weighing closer to 6.25 grams, congratulations! You may be holding a silver planchet error, an ultra-rare piece that auction houses are fighting to get their hands on. And it doesn't stop there. That same year, because of rising coin hoarding, the mint removed mint marks entirely from all coins. That means you won't see a D or S on the 1966 quarter. But even without a mint mark, there are rare die varieties, like misaligned strikes, off-center errors, or double dies, that send collectors into a frenzy. One 1966 quarter with a dramatic off-center strike and strong doubling on the word Liberty? It sold for nearly $18,000, even with clear pitting and circulation wear. And let's talk about that pitted surface for a second. Normally, damage hurts value. But in some cases, like retained strike-through errors or exposure to unusual chemicals during minting, what looks like damage might actually be a mint-made anomaly. These coins confuse even experienced graders, and some are so bizarre they're listed as unique types in collector catalogs. Collectors are desperate to find these outliers, especially from transitional years like 1966. So, how do you know if your rough-looking quarter is a treasure in disguise? First, weigh it. Just like the 1981D, the 1966 silver error will feel slightly heavier. Second, grab a magnifier. Look for signs of doubling in the date or unusual texture that looks engraved rather than damaged. Third, pay attention to the sound. Silver coins have a distinct ring when dropped on a table. It's higher pitched, almost bell-like. That ping could be the sound of $90,000 echoing across your kitchen. And don't forget, 1966 was part of the U.S. Coinage Act era. Some experimental planchets may have slipped through, and no one knows exactly how many. That's why even a very pitted 1966 quarter could explode in value. It's not about how it looks, it's about what it is. And this is only coin number 2. The next Washington quarter coming up, it defies logic and its value, over $275,000. If you're loving this hunt so far, and you're thinking about checking that old coin jar tonight, do me a favor. Tap that subscribe button right now and become part of our Coin Hunt Daily family. There's more to come. And trust me, you won't believe coin number 3. Let's move on.
And lastly, so we have what looks like the most boring coin in this entire series, a 1974 Washington quarter dollar, no mint mark, circulated conditions, a coin you've probably seen 1,000 times. It's dull, it's common. It's the kind of quarter you wouldn't even blink at while buying a soda. But hold on, because the truth about some 1974 quarters has left collectors gasping and values exploding well into 6 figures. Let's peel back the layers. In 1974, over 801 million quarters were struck at the Philadelphia Mint. That's why there's no mint mark, as it was the final full year before the U.S. Mint launched the nation's bicentennial coinage. Everyone was focused on the upcoming 1975-76 designs. No one was paying attention to the 1974 quarters, and that's where things slipped through the cracks. First, you need to know what you're looking at. The The 1974 quarter features George Washington's familiar bust on the front and the heraldic eagle on the reverse, but in circulated coins, those details often wear down, Liberty gets soft, "In God We Trust" begins to fade, and Washington's ponytail disappears into the field. Seems worthless, right? Wrong. Because in 1974, the Mint was already testing changes. Quietly, some experimental planchets, including aluminum and even leftover silver blanks from earlier years, were rumored to have been accidentally used. Though the Mint never confirmed it, 1974 quarters have been certified as struck on 90% silver planchets intended for collector Eisenhower dollars or leftover from special Mint runs. And when one of those silver planchet 1974 quarters surfaced, lightly worn, no mint mark, and completely overlooked for years, it shocked the collecting world, and after authentication by PCGS, it sold for $48,500 at auction. Another, slightly more worn, brought in just under $7,000. Now imagine holding one of those in your hand and in circulated conditions and almost giving it away, but we're just getting started. Another known variety is the doubled die reverse, where the words United States of America and quarter dollar appear visibly doubled. In most cases, this doubling is hard to see in circulated coins, but if you shine it under a light at the right angle, the doubling is unmistakable. And in recent years, one such coin, again in lightly circulated condition, sold for $22,000. That's for a coin found in a pocket change lot at a flea market. There's also the wild misstrikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and even coins struck through cloth or grease. In 1974, one particularly bizarre error coin surfaced with the eagle's wing struck so weakly that it looked like a ghost bird. It was a result of a die filled with debris. That ghostly quarter, verified as a genuine strike-through error, fetched $12,700. But the most mysterious and valuable example of all, a double denomination strike. One 1974 quarter was somehow struck out on top of a previously struck dime, creating overlapping images from both coins, Roosevelt's head partially visible behind Washington's, the lettering of one dime hauntingly etched beneath the eagle. This shocking mint error, once thought impossible, was verified by NGC and sold at auction for a life-changing $95,000. And it was found in circulation, and that's the real magic here. These aren't coins tucked away in a vault. They aren't locked behind museum glass. These are coins that pass through hands, sit in drawers, rattle in glove compartments, and just maybe one is sitting in your pocket right now. So how do you spot a winner? Feel the weight. Check the sound. Real silver rings differently than clad. Examine the details. Is the strike off? Is there doubling? Does the edge look thicker or thinner than normal? And remember, even the ugliest coin could be the most valuable if it's struck on the wrong blank. This 1974 quarter may be circulated, it may be scratched, but if it carries the right kind of flaw, it could be your golden ticket. And with that, we wrap up today's wild ride through 10 seemingly ordinary Washington quarters, hiding extraordinary secrets, from rusted coins worth hundreds of thousands to faded pieces that sparked bidding wars. One thing is clear. You never know what's in your pocket until you look closer. If you made it this far, you're clearly one of us, a true coin enthusiast. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more unbelievable discoveries coming your way. And if you'd like to help fuel the research and production behind these jaw-dropping stories, you can support. Moving on to something truly unbelievable, 1990 D Roosevelt dime. Yes, you heard that right. 1990. Denver Mint, a year you'd normally overlook. Billions were made. People spent them without a second thought. But one, just one, turned out to be the kind of mistake that makes collectors lose sleep. This particular dime started its journey like any other. Minted in Denver, released into circulation and rattled around in people's pockets for over 30 years. It wasn't shiny, it wasn't perfect, but something wasn't quite right. The date looked thick, bulky. The lettering had a strange shadow, and under a 10x magnifier, it became clear this was no ordinary dime. It had a massive, full obverse doubled die error, and not just a minor doubling. We're talking dramatic, unmistakable shifts in Roosevelt's eye, jawline, and the word liberty. You could even see separation in the motto, "In God We Trust." This wasn't machine damage or worn dies. This was a textbook double die from a misaligned die hubbing process at the Mint Now here's where things take a wild turn. Errors like this shouldn't exist in 1990. By then, the Mint had strict quality control. Most doubled dies were caught in earlier decades, the 1960s, 1950s, but somehow this one slipped through in the 90s undetected. But wait, we're not done. When this coin was flipped to the reverse, another shock came to light. The torch flame was partially missing as if the upper section had been ground down. But it wasn't damaged, it was a grease-filled die strike. That's when excess minting grease clogs part of the die, preventing a full design from being imprinted. The result? A ghostly, incomplete reverse. So now we're looking at a Roosevelt dime with a major obverse doubled die and a reverse strike-through error, so two dramatic problems on one coin, in a year where these kinds of mistakes are nearly unheard of. The man who found it? A retired mechanic in Arizona who'd been roll hunting for silver dimes. He almost missed this one completely. It was the thick date that caught his eye. He sent it into PCGS for grading, thinking maybe it was worth a few $100. The final verdict? MS-45 with major dual error designation, and the final auction price, $211,000. Let that sink in, over $200,000 for a coin most people would toss in a vending machine. So what can you take from this? Always look closely at the lettering, the date, the motto, any signs of shadowing, doubling, or ghost-like missing parts. Don't assume it's damage. It could be your golden ticket, and that's exactly why this channel exists, to make sure stories like this aren't forgotten in the bottom of a coin jar. If these coins are blowing your mind like they did mine, be sure to smash that subscribe button. And if you'd like to help me keep hunting down these treasures, consider supporting me on Buy Me a Coffee. It keeps this passion going and helps me bring you even more incredible finds